Update. Am I the a-hole for not giving in to my brother's tantrums? Original story. I, female 29, recently bought a house and a brand new car. I will admit I probably splurged on my house more than I should. But growing up very poor, it has been always a dream of mine to live in a nice house. I worked really hard to be where I am. So much so that I undergo countless breakups because I always choose career over boys. My brother, male 25, is currently jobless. He works as a tourist guide before and can barely make ends meet. He has 5 kids now, and counting, as his wife announced pregnancy recently. He messaged me on Facebook that there is something he wants to talk about, and I thought he wants to name me godmother to his incoming baby. I said sure, and invited him to the house to get his approval about some things I modified for our parents. I gave him a tour and he admired my house greatly, saying things like how excited he is to bring the kids to my house. I did not mind anything about it, as I thought he meant a visit, which I'm more than happy to host them for. Imagine my surprise when he finally sat me down and finally revealed what he wants to talk about. He wants me to give him my house. I clarified whether he meant this house or the other house I bought for my parents which I still lived in. Still has modifications ongoing with my dream house. He said the house is big enough for his family and I can go visit them anytime I like. He even offered that if I really wanted to live there, I can go move into the maid's room and modify it for my personal use. I was shocked, I cannot speak, as he thanked me over and over for the house. I finally asked him where the heck did the idea come from, and he said our mother told him I will give him my house. I of course corrected that, and this is where things gone south. My brother repeatedly said since our mom said the house is his now, I cannot do anything but give in. I called my mother to tell him to buzz off, and lo and behold, my mother sided with my brother. To make this already long story short, my whole family had cut me off, and parents disowned me until I gave my brother my house. My father has been brought to the hospital over this fight, and now I feel really bad. The guy I'm seeing now said to just give the house to my brother, and he'll help me to buy another. Reddit. Am I the a-hole here? Edit. To clarify, the house that they gave away is the newly bought one. One I thought where I could raise 5 adorable fur babies. Family home is in my name too, as I have to take out a loan back then to buy it. So yeah, it may be obvious I'm not the a-hole at first sight, but I feel like I could be one because my father got hospitalized over the ensuing fight for the house. Now for the top comments before I read the updates. Not the a-hole of course, but what the actual hell is going on here? The entitlement of your brother to expect that you will give him your house? And the nerve of your parents expecting that you would indeed do this? Actually, if your parents want to provide for your brother, they can invite him to live in the house you've bought for them. And they can live in the maid's room. Your family's toxic, Opie. And if that's how they see you, as a bank, then cutting you off is a good thing for you. I'd kick everyone but the dad out of the homes Opie owns. Both of them. I'd lock it down with a lawyer for safety. Cameras. All of it. This sub is way too familiar with some insane people. Is this a joke? One of the clearest not the a-hole I've ever seen. You already gave your parents one house, and they took it upon themselves to give your home away as well? Haha, thanks. I feel really awful though. As I mentioned, my father has been brought to the hospital over this. I feel really guilty because if I had not fought my brother and mother, he would have been probably fine. He thinks I should give my brother my house, as he thinks I can afford to buy another in a few years. He has a point, so it eats me up. Not the a-hole. And you should sell the other house in your name since they have disowned you, and take it to go on an amazing holiday. How horrible. This comment made me laugh. This is the same suggestion as my boss, who also happens to be my best friend. She said I should use the money to treat myself on a nice holiday in Europe as I had always wanted. Update. I'm trying to read all comments and I'm just so overwhelmed for your support. I'm temporarily staying at a friend's house ever since. Your encouraging words really helped ease my mood. I finally decided not to give this house and sell the other one to help pay for a vast majority of the loan in my dream house. I also decided to remove my parents' access to my health plans and remove them in my insurance. Last but not least, thank you for the award, kind strangers. Reading your comments made me realize how ridiculously unreal this sounds. And now for the update 8 months later. Hello. So, a lot of people have reached out to me since my original post. A lot has happened then, and I'll try to include much details as I can. So, I cut my family off back in December and removed them in all services that will benefit them being connected to me. Since I figured, hey mom, you told me I'm dead to you, then you get no free house for me anymore. So the reactions from our extended family were just as expected. Most of the adults sided with my mother, but my cousins expressed their support to me. I got uninvited with the family reunion I initially sponsored. And isn't that just the worst? My aunts and uncle had barricaded the gates when I arrived at my granny's house. I won't expand on this anymore because it still hurts until now. My mother also sued me for selling the first house back in January. It did not reach the higher courts and I won. Public perception of me got worse though. She and my brother took this defeat to twist the sympathy in their favor. They posted on social media about how I am an ungrateful daughter and that I owe them for everything I have. They also blamed me for my father's death. Yes, he died. I did not even get to attend a funeral because I'm banned. When this happened, I almost gave in and signed the papers to give the house to my brother. I blamed myself and believed them that my selfishness killed my father. At this point, my boyfriend convinced me to take a break from work and talk to a professional. I did just that, and I'm only now just realizing how messed up the way they raised me. Can't believe it took internet strangers to realize something is wrong with how they treated me. To be honest, I almost decided not to post an update. It was last month when my therapist suggested I should do it, because this is where me breaking off from them started. On the bright side, I saw how my fiancé's family really liked me because of this ordeal. I thought they were just being nice. But stuff happened and they supported me every step of the way, especially when my partner had to go overseas for a 1-week stay because of his job. They really took care of me, and even assured me I'm worth more than my family thinks I am. The nicest thing I've ever heard in my life came from his mother. Anyway, last July 21, my father's birthday, mother reached out to me. She explained to me that she understood she had no rights banning me from his funeral, but at the time all she can think about is how I cut them off my health plans, and it rendered them incapable of supporting my father's hospitalization. I did not realize this, and we cried for hours. She said she still blames me though, and doesn't think she can forgive me. I think I understand her. My therapist told me that thinking of what-ifs is counterproductive. But still, if I could go back in time, I'll help them with this. My brother won't talk to me. That's fine. The feeling is very much mutual. I believe in natural consequences. You cutting your parents and family off financially after being manipulated and mistreated is a natural consequence. Your mom can blame you all day long, but her actions are what got the ball rolling. You are amazing and strong for working so hard to move past this. This is why people say fate does have a sense of irony. Opie was willing to give almost everything to her family but wanted one thing for herself. Opie's family wouldn't allow that, so they lose everything else of Opie's that they'd already had, and had lots of consequences as a result. Their greed and selfishness actually killed him. Sucks to suck. That Opie is still being manipulated by these people is insane. Opie, you need to keep that no contact up. Your mom showed right away she hasn't learned anything, changed, nor does she see you as a human being. Just a thing that provides stuff for her. She said she still blames me though and doesn't think she can forgive me. I blame her. Maybe do not disown the person paying for your health care? Your mother could have told you, but instead did a smear campaign against you. Bite the hand that feeds. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for my reaction when my husband asked about dinner after I gave him the news of my mother's death? I lost my mom days ago to cancer. I had a good relationship with her and my sisters. I took part of her care and my husband helped a lot in the past few months. He loved mom, or so I thought. He helped me take care of her home. He'd visit daily when I stayed with her and he cleaned her yard, walked her dogs, handled her financial issues. He's an accountant. Brought her stuff she needed before she went to the hospital. He never complained about the efforts he made or time it took to help her out. I received the news of her passing from my sister at 6 p.m. My husband got home within 30 minutes. He was resting on a couch in the living room when I came downstairs and my face was very telling, but he didn't notice somehow. He casually talked about how long and hard his day was and didn't notice that I didn't say a word. I spoke up and told him my mother just passed. He asked when and I told him about an hour ago. He leaned back and stared at me for a long minute, then said, "So what's for dinner?" I froze in my place. I just looked at him and said, "What? You don't need me to take you to the hospital? We gotta eat first." I blew up at him and called him unbelievable for his response to the news of my mom's death. He argued back, talking about how he was working non-stop all day without having time to eat anything. Then basically talked about all the things he's done for Mom and how he owes nobody nothing. He said he was sorry for needing to eat after coming home hungry after working for hours, and said that my reaction to lashing out was misplaced and unfair. I stormed off upstairs and got ready to go meet my sister. He wanted me to wait till he ate something, but I refused to speak and left. I stayed with my sister after the funeral. He came to try to talk to me, but I felt I wasn't ready. My sister was confused, saying no matter what his response was to the news, my husband doesn't deserve this treatment from me after he helped out, and I should just try to work it out with him, but I told her to stay out of it. Not today, Ho. The first thing he said wasn't even, "I'm sorry" or "Are you alright?" It was to ask you what you were going to make him for dinner, an hour after he learned your mother died. He didn't even acknowledge her passing at all before he asked you for food. And then he didn't even apologize for it. He gave you non-apologies and told you why you shouldn't be angry at him and how unfair it was. All while still never offering the bare minimum level of condolences for you losing your mother. I'm so curious about the long pause. He was thinking about what to say. It wasn't a knee-jerk comment, which is what he was implying. He also doubled down on blaming her. And hello, he can't make himself a sandwich? I get the impression that he was thinking that Opie could go back to being his maid now that her mom was dead. Cold? Yes, but I can't think of anything else. He made a decision to offend her. He thought about what he was saying. Not today, Ho. For me, it's definitely that he doubled down on it too. I can give people a pass for saying the wrong thing if they acknowledge they said the wrong thing and apologize, but he did not do that. Wow. Not today, Ho. He's a grown adult. He can make himself a damn sandwich. I can't even imagine my husband reacting like that if my mother died. Not today, Ho. That is a sentence one would never expect to hear after telling someone, much less their own partner, that their loved one has passed. I am speechless. What's for dinner? Is he always this unsupportive and indifferent towards you and your feelings? Dear God. You have every right to be outright shocked by your husband's response to such tragic news, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I'm so sorry for your loss, and for you having gotten so little support from the person who should have been supporting you the most at the time of your sorrow. I don't know what made him act like that. Yes, he would usually complain about being overwhelmed. I always try to listen to what bothers him. I'd expect him to at least listen to me and comfort me while going through these rough times. My sister said that maybe he expected my mom to pass away, so the news wasn't surprising to him. But still, I'm honestly shocked. I'm not gonna lie. I'm mad. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting to hold my newborn nephew? My sister is mad at me, 21 male, for this. Want to give some quick info first. 2 years ago, my girlfriend and I had a baby girl. But she was born premature, and she was so small. I only got to hold her once before she passed. It was really, really hard. I loved her so much. But now that it's been a while, I didn't think these feelings would come up when my sister announced she was pregnant. We were all happy for her, including me, and thought it was cool to become an uncle. She gave birth and my nephew is a month old. We came over for the first time to her house last weekend, and everyone wanted to hold him. My mom was by me when my sister handed her the baby. And I don't know, but me seeing him moving around making noises, it took me back to thinking about my baby girl. I haven't been close to another baby since my daughter. This would be my second time ever holding a baby and it wasn't my daughter. And in my head I'm thinking, I can't do this. My mom asked if I want to hold him. Told her it's okay, she can keep holding him. And my mom nodded to me like she understood. But my sister joked that her son doesn't bite. So what's the problem? I told her no problem, just didn't feel right. We went on like nothing. My dad held him for a bit and everyone was talking. Again, my sister brings up how come I don't want to hold her son. Do I have a problem with him? I told her no, it's not like that. It's just hitting me right now, and I don't know if I feel right holding him. It's bringing up some hard feelings remembering my daughter is what I told her. My sister didn't say anything else, but she was quite mad. We left hours later, then she called me to tell me what she really feels. She can't believe I tried to make it about me during a time when it was meant to be a happy first meeting, and that I'm an A for not wanting to hold my nephew. Because it's like I'm rejecting him and taking it out on him that I don't have a daughter anymore. It wasn't like that, and I tried to tell her it was gonna be heavy for me to hold him, so I didn't think I would be able to handle. She still thinks I was really crappy and she wants a real apology. My girlfriend says screw her. I want to agree, but I don't know if that's the defensive part of me that doesn't think I did anything wrong. Was I an a-hole for how I reacted? Not an a-hole, and holy cow, your sister needs a reality check. She's clearly never had to grieve anything as serious as the loss of a child. It didn't have to become about you, but she kept pushing. Also, she's taking your very real and raw grief and trying to make it about her. Who cares if you hold a baby or not? I don't know about other moms, but I'd be grateful for my baby not being passed to everyone, especially in the middle of a pandemic. Seriously, I was talking to my partner about this the other day. I told them that if we had children together, I was uncomfortable with other people outside of ourselves kissing or holding for the first month at least. After that, holding would be fine, but I still probably would be uncomfortable about kisses for the first 2 years. This would be my first kid, so I'm probably being a little overprotective. But I've seen so many die at a young age because someone had what they thought was a minor illness and decided to kiss a child anyways. 100%. My nephew ended up in the hospital because my mother-in-law kissed him while she had a cold sore. He was 3. She kissed my 3-year-old the other day, and I almost lost it. Not a day-hole, but I'd also not hold it against your sister just yet. She's a new mom who's dealing with both lack of sleep and still wacky from the pregnancy hormones at this point. She was an a-hole, but I expect that when she's further recovered and rested, you'll be able to discuss it properly, where she'll be able to understand your perspective and be contrite. Not an a-hole. You are still grieving, and it was a shock to your system that brought back things you were still bothered by. Your sister was an a-hole for trying to force you to hold your nephew when you were still hurting. If anything, your sister owes you an apology for her fits of anger and absolute disregard for your feelings. You didn't do anything wrong and didn't know you would be triggered when put in that position.